To crush you, they gathered like wolves, circling in strategy, sharpening their weapons of whispers, envy, and deceit. They weren't just hoping you would fall, they worked for it. Some smiled while stabbing, some clapped while cursing, but all shared the same sick desire to see your light dim, your purpose crumble, and your voice go silent. They didn't merely oppose you, they formed alliances, coalitions of cowardice, bonded by nothing but hatred for the grace on your life. But what they didn't realize was this: unity built on destruction carries its own death inside. When people come together with the intention to destroy someone walking in truth, they are planting seeds of rot within their own foundation. You became the glue they stuck themselves to. You were the reason they were sitting at the same table. They had no love for each other, just a shared hatred of your rise. They had no loyalty to one another, only the bond of betrayal. And once you were no longer accessible, once your silence didn't shake, once your peace disturbed their plans, they turned their weapons toward one another, because that's how evil collapses. It always devours its own architects. You weren't just the target, you were the test, and you passed it not by fighting them, not by defending yourself, not by returning insult for insult, but by standing still, by letting your character speak when words failed, by letting time prove what the crowd refused to see. You didn't beg to be understood. You didn't lower yourself to explain your innocence to people who already chose their lie. You kept walking while they were busy whispering. You kept rising while they were building traps. And now they're falling into the very snares they dug for you. God let them unite. Don't miss that. He allowed their unity not to destroy you, but to expose them. They needed each other to feel strong enough to come against you, but he never needed a crowd to protect you. His protection wasn't noisy, it was divine. He let them gather, he let them laugh, he let them post and mock and conspire, because he already saw the moment they'd start turning on each other. The same hands they used to tear your name were never clean, and dirty hands can't hold anything sacred. So now they're breaking what they once built, tearing apart the very circle they formed to hurt you. Because unity without truth is temporary. Alliance without purpose always fractures. And betrayal sewn together will unravel in time. You don't need revenge when they're busy destroying each other. You don't need vindication when God writes your story with fire. You don't need to shout when silence is louder. Look at them now, once a crowd, now fragments, once strong in numbers, now weaker in isolation. The same people who whispered about you now whisper about each other. The same mouths that swore you were the problem are now devouring themselves with suspicion and paranoia. Because guilt doesn't sleep and jealousy doesn't keep friends. There's something powerful in surviving without retaliation. There's something sacred about being protected by your purpose. While they wasted time on you, you were building what they couldn't stop. While they chased rumors, you chased God. While they tried to cancel you, you got promoted. And now they can't agree on what lie to tell next, because truth has a way of surviving storms. Your very existence irritates them now, because you were supposed to be gone. And yet, there you are, standing, smiling, thriving. They thought crushing you would elevate them, but they never expected your peace to outlive their plots. They never imagined you'd walk through fire and not smell like smoke. And now they're burning each other, trying to make sense of how you survived. They united to crush you. Now they're killing each other with the same poison they prepared for you. That's the price of touching God's chosen. That's the cost of plotting against purpose. You don't need to fight for your name when your fruit speaks louder than their gossip. You don't need to clear your past when your future is already glowing. You just need to keep walking, keep building, keep becoming. Because the greatest revenge is not being like them. When people unite with the sole intention of tearing someone down, they aren't building anything. They're simply agreeing to destroy. It may look like strength, it may appear powerful in the moment, but their alliance is hollow at the core. Unity birthed from bitterness is never blessed. Agreement without truth is a temporary theater. And no matter how loud or strategic it may seem, it is laced with spiritual decay. They didn't gather out of love, out of purpose, or out of vision. They gathered because they shared a darkness, the inability to stand the light in someone else. That kind of unity is not a kingdom, it's a cage, and eventually everyone inside turns on each other, because when there's no real loyalty in the foundation, betrayal becomes inevitable. The moment they locked arms to come against you, they made a silent agreement to ignore each other's flaws for a common enemy. But that agreement is fragile. That kind of pact comes with expiration. You cannot build endurance on shared hate. You cannot build legacy on lies. And anything formed in darkness will crumble in the presence of truth. The people who united to crush you were never truly united in spirit. They were bound by their wounds, their insecurities, their jealousies, and the echo chamber of their own egos. And when you didn't fall, when your silence stood taller than their schemes, they began to implode, because the target they once fixated on was no longer accessible. And now, with nothing left to attack, they are forced to see each other, and what they see isn't pretty. They didn't realize that attacking you wasn't going to fix what was broken in them. They thought silencing your voice would give theirs more power. They thought that crushing your name would make theirs cleaner. But evil unity always boomerangs. It travels far in force, but it returns with violence to its origin. It's easy to form a crowd when the mission is to harm, but when there's no divine agenda in the core, the same fire they tried to ignite under you becomes the blaze that consumes them. They built their alliance like scaffolding tied with thread. One pull and it unravels. You were not the problem. You were the pressure that exposed their fragile structure. They made you their mission. They turned your name into their battle cry. But what they failed to see is that purpose is protected by a law greater than popularity. They could manipulate people, but they could not manipulate time. Time always separates what was truly built from what was temporarily staged. And when the dust settled, their unity began to rot from the inside. Because you cannot bury someone favored by God and expect peace to follow. They thought their unity was power. But unity without character is dangerous. It looks strong on the surface, but it carries termites underneath: jealousy, fear, insecurity, comparison, pride. And those things will always destroy the very structure they're hiding inside. They never saw it coming. They were too focused on you to see the cracks forming between themselves. They were too excited about your downfall to notice the slow decay of their alliance. But the day always comes when evil must pay for its own agreement. And when that day arrives, the same mouths that mocked you begin to argue with each other. The same hands that reached for your crown now claw at one another. The same eyes that rolled at your name now roll in suspicion at each other's motive.